problem of the dynamic between you and your child and food, right? If they're not doing it for you, then there's something that we need to change about that food relationship and you and your child. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of How to Unpick Your Picky Eater. I'm Christine, and I am here to guide you and empower you and get your kids eating the most nutrient-dense foods as possible, especially in this new year, 2024. So I'm so excited for this episode. Now, this is a very parent empowering type of an episode. And right, so who is that real MVP? Because a lot of parents really truly think that the therapist is going to be that person to get their kids to eat food. So they try to find the therapist. They take them to a place that does feeding therapy so that that therapist can get their kids to eat. But I'm here to tell you that that is sort of the opposite of what I'm going to explain. And don't get me wrong, we do one-to-one therapy, but I want to explain a few things to you about success and progress with this, right? A lot of parents tell us that, we evaluate them. A lot of parents want to come in person for those evaluations. And, we present the options, we say, we have this one-to-one in-person service. We have our parent course. And now, mind you, the cost of the parent course is, it's like really, I know it's over $2,000, right? But it is still significantly less than in-person therapy for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, because therapy it's going to take a couple of months. It is absolutely, in the best case scenario, it's going to take at least probably 3 months, usually 6 months. And if you are not in the session, right? So our parents that drop their kids off, go sit in the waiting room or their car, those kids definitely at least a year in therapy, because they're not learning what they need to learn from us to implement it at home. And when you are then basically what you're doing is you're sending your kid to therapy for 30 minutes, an hour a week. That's just not enough time to work on feeding. You eat multiple times a day, every single day. We're talking about building skill at one small part of that week. So the parents are the MVP. The parents who learn how to do it right, how we teach you, they are learning exactly how to be the therapist the rest of the week. Okay, this is my assignment this week, and this is what we're going to work on. And this is what I'm going to do to help move my child forward, right? But if you just sort of wait until they see the therapist again the next week to move forward, you're inching forward a baby steps when you could be going forward by leaps, right? So a lot of these parents that, we give them those options, right? So we have the course, which, might be a bigger upfront cost, but overall it's significantly less than weekly therapy for months, right? And when I say well, why did you select that? A lot of times I hear them say, "Oh, I've tried, but they won't do it for me," or "They work better for someone else," or "I'm not great at this," or they refuse to do it with me. But I want you to think about why that is, right? So that just sort of alludes to the fact that there is also the problem of the dynamic between you and your child and food, right? If they're not doing it for you, then there's something that we need to change about that food relationship and you and your child, right? So that's what we're actually teaching you to do. We're teaching you, we want you to be the therapist. Now, what I really want parents to know is that the degree means nothing. I'm going to tell you, it really truly means nothing. There is nothing that I am going to do in a therapy session that truly you can't do at home, right? Because, and it really shouldn't be that way because, well, from honest to God, everything I learned about feeding therapy, none of it came from my undergraduate degree program, my graduate degree program, right? So, yeah, I have a master's in speech pathology, but none of that training got me the information that helps kids learn how to eat. All of that was continuing education, learning from people who had it figured out already, who have been implementing different strategies and plans. And I learned from them. Basically, I've been mentored. I mean, I paid for that mentoring, right? I bought those classes. I sat down. I learned. I really did learn how to do it. But I don't want parents to think, well, I don't have a degree. I'm not a therapist. Like, how could I be the therapist? I'm not a therapist. Well, if you learn, you can also be the therapist. And that's not to discredit feeding therapists or OTs or PTs, right? Of course, there is some sort of level of skill, learning how to work with different types of people. Um, Sometimes even just like that, level of patience that we have because we do work with so many different types of kids and families. So, and just that it's not your own child, right? So we have a different level of patience because they're not ours, right? But I really do want you to explore that thought of, well, why can't I be the one to do it? Why am I not able to do it? And can I? And if you really think about it, is it true that you can't, do what the therapist is doing in your child's sessions? No, and you should be able to do it because honestly, we're doing things that we want. Well, for our practice, I don't know how every practice works. And we've had kids come in from other clinics that, well, what they were doing wasn't working, but there's we try to teach parents like, hey, I want you to do this, this, and this. Do you see exactly how I do this? Did you see how I said that? Did you see his response and how I responded? Those are the types of things that we want you to be doing at home. So, I really want you to like sort of reframe your thinking about who is really the expert here because we are not an expert on your child. We really are not. And anyone who tells you that they know more about your child than you do is, I would just like kind of run the other way because there is no one that could replace your maternal or parental instinct, right? They are your child. You know them hopefully better than anyone, right? You live with them. You have instincts that we don't have as parents. You have these gut feelings that we wouldn't have necessarily because they're not our children. And, to some degree, that actually makes you more of an expert, than we are. So sometimes it's, a therapist might push your child a little bit too far where you would be like, "Ooh, I'm going to pull back. I better pull back because I know that if I go a little bit too far, it's not going to end well." Right. And that sort of valuable information is stuff that really the parents know best, right? Not the professionals. And if you are a professional listening to this, I don't want you to think that I'm telling parents like, don't go to see any professionals anymore, right? That's really not what I'm saying. I'm saying I want parents to want to learn what the professional is doing and why they're doing it and how they're doing it so that they can then take those skills home and learn how to do it for themselves. Because honestly, what and I've said this to parents so many times, what's the point if they eat for me, but they're not going to eat for you? That does not solve your problem. That does not help you at all, right? If they eat for me once a week when they're here, how is that going to help you with school lunch, with birthday parties, with vacations, with your every night routine? right? If they're still giving you a hard time, we have to repair the relationship between you, your child, and food. And it's not impossible to do. I think sometimes, honestly, I think some parents are kind of scared to do it. And I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to be any work. It's going to be work. It's not always going to be easy. It won't always be sunshine and roses because personally, and if you listen to last week's episode, you'll know that being your child's own therapist takes a tremendous amount of patience and it is just not always easy. It is definitely I've had moments where it's for sure easier for someone else to give a direction than it is for me because I'm not in the right state of mind. I'm a little bit too angry. I'm a little bit too close to it. And sometimes that other person is just a little bit calmer and they're able to sort of smooth that situation over. But that doesn't mean that it's not important for me to work on that. And when it's really about like that personal growth of you as a parent and as an individual, but that time it'll take you to, you know, learn a little bit about how to approach it more calmly and how to maybe change your words or change the presentation of something. That growth is not just going to be for your child's benefit. It's going to also be for your benefit. So, and I've said this so many times before, but think of this journey as not just for your child, it is also for you. And it is for your own personal growth. And when you sort of reframe the challenge of picky eating to be about both of you learning and growing, right? Your child might learn to grow, learn to grow, learn to grow new foods, um, learn to grow in their ability to try new foods, maybe overcome that fear of, that initial fear of getting the food into their mouth or whatever. They might be learning that oral motor skill, whatever it is. There's also on that flip side, all of the work that be doing and that ownership, that connection of like, wow, we did this together is going to be very life changing. So I always say, when people go through our program, we want both the child and the parent to come out as like transformed different people because there is just this amazing connection that food has of bringing people together. And, it could also cause some problems, right? Like it does right now, where I assume with your picky eating, right? But when there is that sort of like cohesive, when everything is just like working together, food can be so incredibly bonding and fun and exciting. And I really do want that for all of our families. I really do. It's so important for me. It's even more, of course, we want kids to be healthy and get in those nutrients and, getting them, detoxed and functionally and cognitively optimally, right? And food, of course, is incredible vessel to help all of that to happen and take place. But there's so much more to it. There's also that layer of the emotional, the social bonding that takes place between friends and family over food that will also be transformed. And not only that, it's that other layer of like your intense attachment to your child and helping to like foster that relationship. So that is why I say parents are the MVP. There is nothing that I can't teach you to do that, right? Someone taught me to do it. If someone taught me to do it, I can teach you to do it. And it's so important for me that parents are invested in that learning piece and self growth because, if you are interested in outsourcing this project to someone else that, you just drop your kid off, I am telling you, it is going to take probably double to triple the amount of time than it would if you learned and implemented it yourself, because you can implement it for breakfast, for snack, for lunch, for snack, for dinner, for snack, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And we can't do that as therapists. But I can teach you. I can teach you what to say, what not to say, how to present it, what not to do, right? We can teach you that. And then you can be that person every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So, if you are interested at all, we do have our unlocking meal times, which is like a 1.5 hour workshop. Um, we have our free parent guide for helping you remediate picky eating, which I just revamped, and it is incredible. It has 5 tools to tackle picky eating, 4 easy ways to make food fun for picky eaters, which we did have before, but it's now included in this bigger guide. 3 mistakes parents make and what to do instead, as well as 2 ways to start shifting mindset starting today. And the number one thing parents of picky eaters need to know. And you have a special coupon in there to get that Unlocking Mealtimes workshop that includes that incredible quiz that we have set up that really helps you hone in on what areas your child is struggling with feeding, right? Is it a lot of gut stuff? Is it oral motor? Is it environment? Is there a big fear factor? Like, what is the combination? What is your child's unique profile? And we are going to do a special episode just on what is your child's profile coming up this month. So please make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. And just stay tuned for all of that. So we have lots of great stuff coming up. Hopefully this resonated with you. Hopefully I've motivated you to sort of take the reins in 2024 and not only like be that person for your child, but it's really also an investment in your own personal growth. As a parent, as a human, you will learn and grow from the experience of helping your child through this as well. So I'm excited for this for you, and I'll see you next week. All right. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.